is they say, oh, it's brand new. I don't want to put something brand new into my body. But what they don't understand is that we've been studying this kind of vaccine for many, many years. It isn't brand new. It was made quickly because that's a double-edged sword. Had we not made it quickly, people would be yelling at us, why haven't you made the vaccine faster? We made the vaccine as fast as possible. What that means is that we did everything that needed to be done, but we did it all at the same time. We didn't slowly spread out our research and our clinical trials. We did everything that's done for any vaccine. We just did it all at the same time and as fast as we could. So the vaccine is safe and the vaccine is incredibly effective, and people need to take it.
As reported in certain countries more recently, Dr. Weissman, this virus we hear is mutating. Is the vaccine still going to do its job?
So what we don't know for sure. We've looked at some of the mutations and the vaccine still works. There's two principal mutations, one in the United Kingdom, one in South Africa, that are being studied right now, and we should have an answer in a week or two. My best guess is that the vaccine is still going to work.
You've discussed that the science isn't clear on whether we will need to get vaccinated regularly for COVID-19, like a flu vaccine, or if this vaccine will last a lifetime. I know science changes so fast. Is there any new information about this?
Well, we just don't know. I mean, the way you learn is that you vaccinate people and then you follow them to see how long the antibody response lasts. So when we did measles vaccines starting 60 years ago, we would follow people for 20 years and see that the antibody response never dropped, so that they didn't need to be boosted every year or every couple of years. We'll find that out over the next couple of years when we follow people that have been immunized for COVID-19 and see how long the antibody stays at protective levels.
Do you think once we all start getting vaccinated the first go around, if that happens in the future, it'll be easier to access this vaccine the second go around, saying years ahead? I suppose it will be.
No, I'm sure. I mean, ideally, if you could vaccinate the entire world, then the virus would be gone. I don't think that will ever happen because there's always going to be some people who can't or won't take the vaccine. But the higher percent of people that take it, the less likely the virus will be around in a year from now.
Have there been any findings about whether the vaccine is safe with people with MS or other immune compromising diseases or cancer patients?
Yeah, so we just don't know yet because those people weren't included in the clinical trials. We know that vaccines are safe in those diseases, and the RNA vaccine is more effective, but it's a vaccine. It's the same as all the other vaccines that are out there. So I can't imagine that it would be bad or difficult with or cause autoimmune diseases. It's just hard to imagine scientifically how that could happen. But until we do the studies, we can't say for sure.
You've mentioned that the vaccine presents low risk. What do you know about the side effects from the vaccine and any other populations that might be worried right now? I know this is a tangent, but any other populations, say pregnant women or others of the sort to get the vaccine? Are there any risks in that?
So the studies looked at people from 16 to I think 85 was the top age. And in those people, the main side effects were sore arms, swelling. A few, small percent had fever and flu-like syndromes that lasted a day. And after that, there were no adverse events seen. They didn't study pregnant women. They didn't study breastfeeding women. So we don't know what the vaccine is going to do in that population. What the OB Society has said is that they support the vaccine, but it has to be a conversation between the patient and the physician to look at risk benefit. We're currently studying what happens with the vaccine in pregnant mice. And that will give us a better idea if we have to think about any potential risk to pregnant women. But we just don't have an answer right now. The other thing is people worry about, oh, it's going to cause autoimmune diseases. There's no evidence that that can happen. In addition, over 8 million people have been vaccinated so far. There hasn't been a single report of somebody developing an autoimmune disease after getting the vaccine. So if it doesn't happen in 8 million people, I think that's pretty safe.
That's very good news. We've read about other vaccines coming to market. Are you able to discuss their differences? I mean, people are talking about 1 dose versus 2 doses, one being refrigerated, another or not. Should we worry about any of these things?
So I don't think people need to worry about that. I think that's the FDA's issue. There hasn't been phase 3 clinical trial released on most of the new vaccines. The only one that has been released is one of the Chinese vaccines that was only 50% effective. So if I was the FDA, I wouldn't approve that vaccine, because why would you give somebody a vaccine that's 50% effective when you've got some that are 95% effective? Well, what's remaining now in the US, for the US, are the adenovirus vaccines that will be, the FDA will look at soon, and a couple of others. So we just have to see what the FDA thinks about them and how effective they are.
Fingers crossed. You have talked about a pan vaccine. Maybe people aren't familiar with that, but I've been studying some of your other interviews and I find this so fascinating. Can you discuss this a little bit? And would you consider someday this pan vaccine being a capstone for your life's work?
So I don't know about that, but I can tell you about the vaccine. So COVID-19 is a coronavirus. That's a family of viruses, respiratory viruses. Over the past 20 years, this is the 3rd coronavirus that has crossed over from an animal, from bats, from civets, from pangolins, into people. So the virus changed species. It went from a different animal into people. It's happened 3 times with coronaviruses in the past 20 years. You have to think that it's going to happen again and again and again. So what are you going to do? The options are, well, the next time there's a pandemic somewhere in the world, you can start over and make a new vaccine, and maybe it'll only take 9 months instead of 10 months. But nobody wants to go through the past year that we've just been through. So our idea is that we're going to the bats, to the pangolins, and we're looking at the coronaviruses that they have, and we're sequencing them. We're learning their codes, and we're trying to determine, can we make a vaccine that will prevent all of those coronaviruses from infecting people? And that way we'll have a vaccine that's already made, already ready to go. The minute there's a new case of a coronavirus somewhere in the world, we'll go in, we'll vaccinate the entire city or the region, or however public health wants to do it, so that we can prevent this pandemic from ever happening again.
Dr. Weissman, I hope that happens. Thank you so much. We are so grateful for your work, and we wish you continued luck, and we wish you continued success in everything that you do. And now you must know you have this whole community here rooting for you and wishing you the very best. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Elisa Gil Perez, Senior Vice President of Medical Affairs, Chief Medical Officer, and Medical Director at Charles E. Smith Life Communities. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Gil-Perez.
Thank you, and nice to see everyone. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you, Dr. Weissman, for your life's work and for the tremendous amount of time and effort that's gone